another episode of Fright Mic. I'm Liz.
I'm Sam.
And we're getting funny this month.
Funnier than usual.
Woo! This month we have a brand new theme. We're dropping it now. A comedy of terror. So we're focusing mostly on horror humor?
Yeah,
dark
horror comedies-ish.
Which, this was like a really hard... This might have to be like a part one of many, because there's so many good dark comedies that we love. Honestly, I think like dark comedies, I want to say, is a subgenre of horror, and I think it's one of my favorites because I just have like a sick sense of humor.
Oh, same.
And so it was difficult to pick these movies. However, the first one, the one we're covering today, was not difficult at all to choose. We're like beaming right now because we're talking about Death Becomes Her, which is, I think I'm speaking for both of us when I say one of our favorite movies of all time.
It's the best. It's the bread, the butter, the boobies. It is everything.
It's all the body parts.
Yes.
Combined.
This is the best.
I'm so excited to talk about this episode. I'm so excited.
We are literally glowing.
I know.
It's like we took the potion.
Yes.
You know, that's how I feel. Yes, I feel freshly painted. Spray painted.
I know. This movie is so good. So, it came out in 1992, which is crazy. A year after my birth.
2 years after mine. I'm old as fuck.
And yet, like, it's crazy. I remember seeing this movie when I was little. I'm not sure how young I was, but I do remember, like, the first time I watched it, I think it was, like, on TV, and I thought it was the strangest thing ever. I think I turned it on, and it was, like, at the scene where Meryl Streep, like, after she falls down the stairs and comes up, and Bruce Willis is talking to her, Goldie Hawn on the phone, and she's, like, all, like, you know, discombobulated.
You pushed me down the stairs.
I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? So weird. So I think that was my first experience with it. From what I can remember.
Right.
And then I've seen it like every year after that.
It's one of those movies I think of my dad, because he would have it, like, so many movies would come on TV all the time, and they would just kind of perpetually be on. You know, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein, this movie, even A Clockwork Orange, unfortunately, I watched for the first time when it was on TV. I was very young. I was very confused. It was unfortunately like the rape scene in the beginning.
I was gonna say that's like a strange thing to have to experience.
Yes. So it was one of those where you'd catch it at different times, and I remember watching a few parts of this movie. My dad had such a crush on Isabella Rossellini back in the day, so I'm not surprised. But I'd always catch it at random parts, and I don't know why, but the part where Bruce Willis is in the pool area when he's talking to Liesel, that used to scare me, and I don't know why.
The part where Meryl Streep comes back alive used to scare me.
Right?
Because I was little and didn't know what I was looking at and didn't get the humor behind it. I was like, what? Like, just because the way she's, like, completely, like, her head is completely backwards.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's, like, kind of fucked up. Like, it's the funny things about, like, when you're watching something that's not really intended to be, like, horror, per se. When you're little, and when you watch it again when you're older, like, obviously you get the humor, but you're, like, terrified.
Right, exactly.
But now that we do get the humor in it, it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Absolutely.
And I know it's one of yours, so it was definitely, just bringing this back around, it was, like, a top choice when we went for our dark comedy month. We
had to. I feel like we were destined for this moment, this day, this review. My whole life has led up to this.
And I feel like this movie is just, like, so crazy because it has all these, like, A-list stars. We have, like, Meryl Streep, Goldie Hawn, Bruce Willis, Isabella Rossellini, like, and it's such a, like, it's not talked about, I feel like. Like, the people who know about it and have seen it, like, love it usually, from what I've gathered, but not a lot of people talk about this movie, and it's funny that all these A-listers are in this kind of movie. It's like a quirky movie in between all of their, like, huge hits that were coming out. Like, Bruce Willis was doing, like, Die Hard, and Meryl Streep was in all these, like, Oscar-worthy performances, and then they all, like, did this movie.
Right. I don't remember who said it. Maybe Meryl Streep, but she basically was like, oh, why did I do this? Because it's too weird not to do. Like, it's too weird to pass up. It, like you said, it is I feel like lesser known, or if maybe not lesser known, lesser talked about. I don't know why it keeps getting walked over, but a couple Halloweens ago, I went out to a Halloween party at a local bar. Like, it was a big bar, Bourbon Street. And I went as Helen with the hole in her stomach.
Yes.
I crafted this whole thing. It looked so good. It was so sick. And one person
Knew.
the entire night knew who I was supposed to be. One person?
I feel like we need to redo these costumes, and I have to figure out if you want to do that again, and I'll figure out how to
Yes.
be
That would be
Meryl
so
Streep
sick.
and have my neck all like fucking.
Gosh.
If I could figure out how to do like a backwards head,
Or just
Ooh.
pad your front
yes,
and make it look like a butt.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can see my ass.
I can see my ass.
That would be genius.
So much
We need
fun.
someone to be earnest.
Luke was earnest.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Perfect.
He
Perfect.
shaved himself a little mustache. He had some glasses. Oh my god, I have to show you pictures. But
I love it.
maybe we'll post the pictures to the Fright Mic
Yes.
Instagram.
I love that idea.
Oh yeah, it was a fun costume, but it was really upsetting because like I was walking around like, this is fucking sick, right? And everyone was like, the fuck is this?
That's sad.
Oh, okay.
That is sad. If you have not seen this movie, please go watch it. It is such a joy. Such a joy. There's some really, really great humor, really great one-liners, which we're going to get into because I feel like this entire episode is going to be us quoting this movie because there's so many quotable moments.
Yeah.
So good.
And it's also directed by Robert Zemeckis, who did like
Yes.
Back to the Future, and he won an Oscar for this movie for I think visual effects, and Roger Rabbit, Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Woo!
I
Another
know.
good movie.
Robert Zemeckis is like a like a well-known
Dude.
director, guy. Did he not do
What Lies
Jurassic
Beneath?
Park?
No.
He didn't.
He did What Lies Beneath.
What Lies Beneath?
Yeah.
Did he really?
Mhm. I'm pretty sure.
I don't even know. I think somebody said something about Robert Zemeckis and Jurassic Park, and I feel like I've just lived my whole life thinking he was attached to it. Maybe not. It doesn't matter. It's unimportant. We're not talking about Jurassic Park.
Maybe we will in the future.
Maybe.
But
Maybe.
for now,
Yes.
we're talking about body parts.
Absolutely. But not the movie body parts.
No. That's for another time.
That's for another time.
Ooh, like an entire month of body horror.
Yeah.
And that has to be with Frontrunner because obviously.
Because the name, you know. Yeah, I did think it was interesting. There are a lot of things about this movie. I should say a lot of scenes in this movie that were cut out of the end result. Scenes that were in the trailer for the movie that did not make it into the film itself. And also, because Robert Zemeckis did, I believe, Tales from the Crypt, this was supposed to be kind of like an extended episode of that.
That's awesome.
And in the trailer for the movie, they play the Tales from the Crypt theme song.
I noticed that and I thought it was strange, but then now it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I could totally see it.
I know. It
It's
does
the-
have
it's
that
the
feel.
dark humor.
It is. It really is.
Because it's so crazy because this movie isn't gory and yet there's a lot of body horror in it.
Yeah.
You know, but like that's the thing about this movie. It's the visual effects for this movie. I mean, this came out in 92. They still stand up and they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like the fact that they got her with the hole in her stomach. I mean, the scene like alone when after she gets shot into the pool and her stomach hole when she
Yes.
stands up and they're on the other side of her and
And the water like is flowing out.
It's so fucking cool.
Uh-huh.
And then when she goes to sit on the couch and the pole goes
Yes.
through her and oh my god, it's awesome.
And
it's
like
amazing.
they paid attention because that whole fight scene where they're fighting with the shovels, anytime she moves, you can see the details through her stomach. So it's not even like they skimped out and just put some weird black thing or like forgot about it or whatever. Like, I don't know. I just like little shit like that I look for, which if you're putting out a fucking movie, you should pay attention to those details, but unfortunately we have done some movies where that's not always the case.
No, but this one was just done so well. And I don't know, this is like a hidden gem among all of these Oscar winners' filmographies, I feel like.
Did you know Bruce Willis wasn't originally cast in this?
Who was?
Kevin Kline.
Oh, no, I don't like it.
No thanks. No thanks.
But it's so funny because, like, even that, like, Bruce Willis, okay, like, we think of him as, like, John McClane, like, he's this big action star. In this movie, he's a nerd.
Yeah, a drunk.
A bumbling, drunk nerd.
Mm-hmm.
Like...
With a little broom stash.
Yeah, with oversized clothes. He's got glasses. He's just like a nerd.
He's got glasses and a ponytail. He's got paint on his overalls. What is that?
Glasses. He's just so, like, it's not like him, you know?
I know.
And it's so funny too because I love Goldie Hawn so much. If I hadn't mentioned that in the podcast before, just know that I am a huge Hawn fan. Huge.
I'm a Hawn stan.
I'm a Hawn ho. I love her so much. I mean, her and Kurt Russell are like everything.
Kurt Russell's in this.
I know, he's like in the background, right?
Yeah, he's on the TV
in
the hospital.
That's right, yeah. It's amazing.
I know. There's so many, but like, I mean, really, he's the only, I feel, like, celebrity cameo, but I think it's funny, at Liesl's party, we get quote-unquote celebrity cameos.
Elvis,
yeah. Jim Morrison, Marilyn Monroe, Andy Warhol. There's so many.
It's awesome.
I know.
But
she's fucking great.
It's funny that she, you know, because I feel like when you're with, when you see a movie with Meryl Streep in it, she's like the star.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that when paired with someone like Goldie Hawn and then having Meryl Streep in there, they're like equals in this movie. They're like equally as fabulous.
Which is why I can't stand that they are trying to remake this movie.
Oh, I know.
I
knew we were going to get to that point too.
We have mentioned it. I know we've mentioned it before. I don't know if it was here or if I was on Patreon, but I have given my scathing review in advance.
It's Kate Hudson, who's Goldie Hawn's daughter.
And Anne Hathaway replacing Meryl Streep. Keep it. Hollywood, you can keep it. And I don't remember who's supposed to play Ernest.
Oh, it's Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, that's right.
That's
also keep it.
That's such a weird choice. Is that even still happening? I feel like they mentioned that forever ago. Like, even before COVID was a thing.
I hope that it never sees the light of day. I hope that anyone that tries to make it a thing gets struck by lightning or falls in a vat of acid or gets stabbed in the head by an icicle or slips and breaks their back. Don't touch it.
Yeah.
Just don't.
I don't know. They tried to do it with Overboard and look at how that turned out.
Literally.
I don't like it.
Or Dirty Dancing when they made the Dirty Dancing Havana Nights. No. No.
I know you're a passionate Dirty Dancing fan.
I'm a Patrick Swayze fan.
Oh.
I mean, Dirty Dancing, yes, is an iconic movie, and I get butterflies in my stomach every time. That doesn't... how do you outdance the Sways? I won't be swayed.
I'll say I'm not opposed to remakes. However, why? Like, it was perfect. Just leave it alone. There's just movies that they don't need it. I mean, most of them don't, but like, it's fine. It's perfect. Why have we got to go down this road? And even if it's Kate Hudson, who I do like, why?
I know.
Leave your mom's movie alone. Just
right.
Just let it rest. Because I feel like now we're gonna get this remake and people are going to see it, and they're not even going to know it was based off of an original, and it's going to get a bad taste in people's mouth if it sucks. Ugh, I might be eating my words later on if it's actually good, but I don't know.
I don't know. Even if it's good, I don't think it would ever, like, supersede the original.
Oh, no.
I don't think it would ever eclipse the original, right.
Usually, that's pretty rare, I feel, that a remake is better than the original, which, you know, is an entirely different conversation. Back to the movie. Yes. Madeline Ashton.
I'd like to talk about Madeline Ashton.
Meryl Streep on Broadway. Oh my god. So it opens on Broadway in 1978. I fucking love just this scene. Like, so she's on stage performing. It's not going well because everyone in the audience, it's just trash. And they're all leaving before the show's even over.
They're like, oh, what a has-been. Gross. But there's two people in the audience. There's Ernest Menville and his
fiance.
I can't.
Helen.
I'm still thinking about the remake. I don't know why that really got me like crazy. Yes, Helen Sharp and Ernest Menville are in the audience, and Helen and Madeline are like childhood friends. But I think they're childhood friends. They're like longtime frenemies.
Yeah.
Really.
They're like what Paris and Nicole were.
Yeah. Yeah. Basically, they go to... So, Ernest is a well-known plastic surgeon, and Helen is basically got this, like, rivalry where everyone that she's ever loved, Madeline comes and, like, takes them. And so when they go to meet her after the show, she's, like, basically like, oh, just promise me, because, you know, she has, basically, like, she has her ways.
She's
women and their...
gypsy eyes.
Exactly. But yeah, they go
It's like a test. She basically just wants to make sure that Ernest is not going to, like, fall for Madeline's bullshit and glamour so that they make it to the altar, which... And it's interesting because the second that Madeline meets Ernest and finds out who he is, a renowned plastic surgeon, she's so self-obsessed with her looks, like, obsessed. She just gets her talons right in him because, hey, free plastic surgery.
And also, they're rich.
And they're rich.
You know? Plastic surgeons are rich. Rich, baby!
So the engagement is broken immediately.
Yeah.
I love that Helen goes to the wedding, too.
I know, she does.
The audacity.
I mean...
But
and
it's crazy because then, like, it flashes to 7 years later.
Yeah.
Because now we meet Helen 7 years later. She's overweight. She's an overweight cat lady who spends her days
out of a tub.
Yes, eating frosting out of a tub, watching Madeline's old movies, all her like kill scenes,
and fantasizing. It's the best. She keeps rewinding it, where he's like choking her and kills her, and she's like literally
all
shoving
of us during quarantine,
right,
basically. Shoving
fingerfuls of frosting in her mouth and like smiling while somebody's beating down her door. I think it's her landlord. But she gets taken
and they like drag her out as she's still like laughing over the
yes. But then they take her to this like loony bin where it's like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. They're sitting in group, and they're like, "Oh, you know, Helen, you've been quiet. We haven't heard from you in a while. Is there anything you'd like to talk about?" And she, I mean, we've said it already, but she's like, "Yes, I'd like to talk about," and everyone's like staring at her like on edge. Madeline, Ash, and they're like, "Ah!" And
no progress was made.
So a group leader takes her into the office and is like, basically, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, it's been months. You haven't lost a single pound. You haven't made any progress. Like, you need to move on. You need to eliminate her from your life. And she's like, what? What did you just say? And she's like, I said you need to eliminate her from your life. She's like, of course. That's exactly it. Like, she's got this epiphany, and I think all she heard was eliminate her.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah. She, like, definitely only heard those words.
Yes.
Which sets the stage for the next 7 years.
So now 14 years have passed.
We're already in there. This is only, like, 15 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And now, she's a successful writer. Ernest and Madeline are very unhappily married. In this, like, giant house in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And
In Beverly Hills.
And they get invited to her book release party.
Oh my god, incredible. Because we see Rose, who's their maid.
Yeah.
Brings Madeline her breakfast in bed. She says, good morning. You look beautiful as always. She's like, aren't you forgetting something? It's only Thursday. I think I need you to say it every day. Oh, Madeline, you're looking younger every day.
I love that she has, like, 5 face masks on. She's sleeping upright.
Yeah, she's got this, like, wrap around her chin, all the way around her head. It's fucking crazy. And then, we go upstairs and we see Ernest in his current situation Rose brings him his breakfast, which is a little different. It's a Bloody Mary. And the best
breakfast of champions.
He's sleeping on the floor. His pager's going off, and so she wakes him up, and then he goes, "Is it up yet?" She goes, "Yes, it's in the bath."
And by now, Ernest has, like, changed, like, career paths. He's now a mortician for the stars.
It's amazing. And he's, like, really, like, talented at it, which we find out at this book launch party that they go to. So they're in the limo, him and Madeline, and he's breathing, but, like, you could tell his airways are blocked, so he's like, and she's like, "Could you just not breathe?"
It's so fucking true, though.
I have been there.
I know.
Oh my god. So they get to the party, and he meets a woman at the bar, and she's like, "Oh, you did my Aunt Esther. It's almost a shame we had to bury her. Oh, her cheekbones. What's your secret?" He's like, "Spray paint." And basically goes on this whole thing about how the spray paint sticks to the dead skin better, and the woman is, like, horrified because she just found out her dead aunt has been shellacked with fucking, like, graffiti spray paint. But either way, she looked beautiful, I'm sure.
I mean, and then when they finally see Helen,
it's incredible.
She's gorge.
Yes, like, at first we see from behind.
Oh, yeah.
This, like, dumpy woman, like, in a frumpy brown coat and shitty hair, and she's like, "Oh, it looks like she's lost a couple pounds."
And then she moves a couple inches to the right, and she's in this, like, long, like, gown, a little leggy
little slit up the side, and she
has, like, regained her youth, and she's, like, 50.
And she's got, like, bright red hair. She had, like, mousy brown hair before.
Yeah.
But she is Gorgina.
Yeah.
And then Madeline immediately is like, "We're leaving." Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. So then that prompts Madeline to immediately look for, like, more plastic surgery. And, oh my god, like, when she goes to visit her plastic surgeon, she basically is like a punch card to the place because she's there so often. They know her. She drops all of her coin there. Mm-hmm. The doctor's office looks so weird.
Yeah.
It looks like something that would be in, like, I don't even know, like a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah, like, I was gonna say, like,
funky.
Stanley Kubrick, David Lynch, very, like, Blue
So
Velvet.
Weird.
It's those, like, weird, punchy, like, pastel colors.
Yeah, it's very pink. The hallway's weird. It's shot weird. Like, even with the whole scene where she was walking in and we see the door closing slowly with the mirror with the guy who's got, like, the fucking
contraption.
It looks like a fucking saw trap.
Yeah, well, what's crazy, this whole spa, basically, it's a facade. Everything in it, you know, because they're doing these, like, fake, you know, like, not fake, but these vain beauty routines to try to help you look like you're not aging. And the French girl with the accent who's like, "It's a traumatic process to the party. You had one 3 weeks ago," you know. And then when the boss comes in, she drops her accent immediately to show that, like, okay, these people are full of shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything is, like, a little too perfect.
It's
little
very
off
Twilight
kilter.
Zone. It reminds me so much of that Twilight episode where they try to get her to have the plastic surgery to make everybody look the same. Like, you pick your number.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you want to look like 1, 2, or 3? And everybody in society has to pick one of those. It's very much that.
Yeah.
That vibe.
I agree.
So because she's offering to pay cash and money is no object, he hears this. He gives her this card for this woman who he says can help her out. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Can we talk about his wonky eye, though?
Yeah.
His one eye is, like, literally looking all over the room. Yeah, and he keeps, it's, like, blinking faster than the other, and he keeps holding it. He's really weird.
I didn't know if he was doing that on purpose or if that was just, like, a thing.
I think it's because he's associated with Liesel. I have always assumed that he has taken the potion and maybe something has happened to his eye that he needs, like, fixed.
Yeah.
You know?
Because he's in the end.
Right, he's in the end, and his eye isn't weird.
No, maybe he needed a touch-up.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm thinking, because he knows Liesel. He has to have taken the potion.
Right.
Right, he's the one kind of, like, feeding her.
He's like the middleman.
Right, and he
They're
appears out of nowhere.
Together.
He's like the devil. I don't even know.
Yeah.
You know, he really just appears out of nowhere.
Yeah, he literally does. He's just sitting in the chair.
Yeah. Very crazy.
Yeah, so she kind of just, like, ignores the whole thing. But eventually, she ends up going after she's rejected by her younger man who she has an affair with.
I like when she's like, oh, who was that? And there's, and she's like, oh, for God's sakes, if you're gonna lie quickly. I'm trying. Oh my God. But yeah, he like calls her ugly and old, essentially. He's like, oh, you're gross and washed up. And she is upset, and she's driving, and she ends up thinking about the card. And so she goes to Liesel von Ruhmann's house.
Which is majestic.
It looks like the hospital from the remake of Haunting of Hill House.
It does.
Kind of.
It is so fucking cool. All the houses in this movie are cool.
Yeah.
But this is just like a fortress.
It's crazy. It's
like all the younger men like schlocking about and the dogs and just
Tom,
everything
Dick,
is
and Harry.
Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Yeah. Those are her man men.
And
her man men?
Oh
my God, I hate myself.
Her mannies.
Yeah. Yes.
And then when we finally meet her, she is just like everything. Her necklace, shirt,
her sarong.
So I just want to know how is she? Because she tells her about the potion and what it's gonna do, and like basically that she has to take care of her body and like the importance of it and everything, and how time is a thief and everything. How is she up like maintaining herself?
She says she's never seen a winter. She's never seen she hasn't seen a fall or winter in years. She only comes with the spring and summer. She says she just moved here for the spring. So I think she just moves around, following her rules. But I'm assuming because she's the giver of this gift that she takes like really good care of her. Yeah.
She's got a good skincare regimen.
I mean, look at her, because you never age a day. I'm assuming, I don't know how long that guy at the spa has been with her, or like all these celebrities too. You figure Elvis took it and he died in the 60s.
True. This
movie takes place in, I think oh my gosh, what's the timeline here? It takes place,
it'd be 14 years after 1978. So yeah.
Okay, so it starts from 1978 and in the end it ends in 2029. Yeah. So this movie spans like what, 57, oh my god, is that even years. Right? Like, yeah, a long ass time. 57 years.
Yeah.
And she has been doing this even before that.
Right.
And all of these celebrities have managed to maintain. It's just because I think the characters that we have been seeing are just selfish.
That's true. And she also mentions that she, like, basically, like, you can be around for a certain amount of time.
10 years.
And then you have to disappear completely. So that's exactly what she did. She's, like, living forever, but the trade-off is that she can't be seen.
Right.
Because people start questioning things.
Yes. At least not as a public figure.
Right.
You gotta kind of, like, move around the shadows.
Right. I feel like we need a Liesel, like, origin story.
No, I love her. Isabella Rossellini looks so good in this movie.
And she was, like, didn't she guess that she was 38 and she was actually...
Yeah, I think she was 36.
In this movie?
At the time of the movie, yeah.
Fantastic.
I know. She the fucking Cleopatra, like, haircut, the brows. I feel like she kind of was, like... I feel like they modeled her a little after Cleopatra.
Oh, probably.
In a way. I don't know why I always got those vibes from her. And maybe it's the Ankh symbol, too, that's on the box of the potion. Yeah, which the Ankh is the Egyptian symbol for life. Ooh. So, I don't know. I always got those, like, Egyptian vibes.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I really like the elixir, too.
I know, it's all
pretty. Like, pink and just... I fucking love when she finally agrees to take it. And she just, like, downs it. And then she's like... And now a warning.
Now a warning?
After she's already taken.
Yes. Well, I like when she's like, do you want to know, basically doing a demo. And she says, hold out your hand. And stabs her. She's like, ah, what are you, nuts? It's so fucking good. Every ounce of this movie is so fucking good.
I eat this shit up,
man. I know.
And it's amazing. Even the visuals when she's leaving the house after she's taken the potion and it's already, like, taking effect. How her boobs, like, inflate and go up.
Apparently they had made an animatronic type bra to do it, but it didn't look real. So they said that they had somebody off screen, like, move her boobs.
to be that person.
I know.
Like, I'm putting this on my resume that I am the one who got to touch Meryl Streep's boobs and push them up.
Hi, Meryl Streep's boob handler. Nice to meet you. Okay, honestly, the scene where she's about to leave and everything starts moving and shifting and she looks young and then she looks at herself and she goes, I'm a girl. I say that to myself every time I get my hair done. Because it's like you go in already looking gross and then they put that cape on you and then you look like that fucking lizard. But you're like, have I always been this ugly? It is so awful. And then when you're done and they like floof your hair, and
it's always when you go in and they like at the like cheaper hair like, cut places and they just spray it.
Yeah, that's with the spray bottle. Yeah, I'm just gonna wet your hair.
And your hair's like slicked down and just you're pale because of the lights and you just like look like shit.
Yeah, those fluorescents make you look sick.
It's honestly I feel like it's a tie between fitting room mirrors and fucking.
I know
the hair cuttery mirrors.
The hair cuttery mirrors and that fucking cape.
Oh my god.
And the fitting room mirrors. Awful. Well, the fitting room mirrors at some places are so deceiving because some stores, they have that, like, very pink low light where you're like, oh my god, I'm smooth, I'm thin, I'm contoured, bitch. And then you take it home and you put it on in your mirror and you're like, have I always been this fucking fat and lumpy? Like, what happened? Did I gain 30 pounds?
Like, why does this dress look so different at home?
Yes, I will never understand it.
And that's why I don't wear them.
I know.
Amen. I have to.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine though.
So anyway, she feels womanly again. Meanwhile, while all of this is going on, we've got Helen over at Ernest's house, and she's like, Madeline, I must speak to Madeline at once. She's not here.
Hate shrine, though.
Her what?
Her hate shrine.
The hate shrine.
Before she even goes over there, like when she's like right before she leaves to go to their house, and it like pans out to her like practicing what she's gonna say, and then like at her vanity, and then it pans out, and she has all these fucking pictures.
And says, never again! Real aggressive.
Fucking written in red, and her eyes are, like, blacked out.
Did you ever notice how in this movie, Madeline is always in white and black, and Helen is always in red?
Except for the scene where they're plotting her murder.
And the cover of the movie.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that?
I love it.
I don't get it. I love it. I don't get it, but I love it.
There's some kind of symbolism here.
I know.
We see it, but we don't know what it means.
Right. It's not like a Lindsay Lohan, I know who killed me situation.
Maybe it's because they're taking turns being like the temptress.
It's like an angel devil thing where they...
Yeah, like they're trading off because neither of them in the end are good people.
Right.
Like none of them really are. But, you know, at first it's Meryl Streep because she takes Ernest away. I'm sorry, I'm like Madeline.
Yes.
I hate to like keep saying Meryl Streep and then their character names. Yeah. So like at least at first it's Madeline taking Ernest away, but now it's Helen who's trying to take Ernest back and manipulate him.
I like at the book party too, she's playing both sides where she goes and she's like, I have never blamed you for him going, like, you know, like him marrying you, like, he's, you know, you didn't steal him, he left, you know, he's a man, and then she turns around and talks to Ernest, I have never blamed you. It's so fucking crazy, it's so good, but yeah, I see exactly what you're saying.
It could be, I don't know, it's a theory.
Yeah.
We'll see.
It's fun.
But so she shows up at their house and basically gets her claws into Ernest and this whole plot that, like, both of their lives would be better if Madeline was gone. Mm-hmm. So her whole, elaborate plot, her scheme to get rid of her, it so reminds me of, like, how Edgar Wright does his editing.
Yes.
With how she describes exactly what's going to happen.
And, like, they're gonna poison her drink, and then they're gonna put her in a car and make it look like she's just had too much. They're, like, literally pouring, like...
so many bottles of milk.
Yes. There's, like, 100 bottles. And then they ever drive off of a cliff and just...
Off of Mulholland Drive.
Yes. Okay, there are so many different endings to this movie that I guess were written, and one of the endings was that Madeline and Helen were gonna drive off of a cliff.
Like Thelma and Louise.
Yeah, yeah. And there was another one where I guess this character was cut out completely. She's in the trailers, but she's not in the movie. She was completely, like, written out of the movie, but they were gonna have Ernest run away with this woman, and it was going to be that they were going to be in Europe when they were older, and Madeline and Helen see Ernest really old with the lady that they cut out. I mean, there's so many endings, but yeah, just one of them was the explosion, so I thought about that.
I think I like the ending that they have, though.
I do too. I really like the ending they have.
Yeah.
It's good.
And this is where shit gets real weird, because now, like, Madeline comes home after the whole thing. They agree to do the plot to, like, get rid of her.
Helen's like, I'll come back for this plan, you know?
So then when Madeline comes back, and she is just like, I love how he's like, oh, you've changed your hair.
Yeah, what an eye.
Like, this entire transformation. And then they fight. And the fight is amazing. She is fucking brutal.
Yes. Oh my god. She goes off on how he's a loser, and he's flaccid, and he's more dead below the waist than his clients are, and she's like, maybe I should give one of your clients a call, at least I know they'd be stiff below the waist. It's oh my god, crazy. And then he chokes her, and he's like, do you think I'm gonna, how long do you think I was gonna take it? And she's balancing on, like, the top of the stairs, and she's like, help me, and she's like, do it, you idiot, you know, like, yelling at him. So then he just pushes her, and she falls all the way down the stairs to the bottom of the steps, breaking her neck. She looks like a damn mess. And what does he do? He calls Helen. And she's like, yo, you idiot. You know, my sweet, sweet, poor idiot Ernest. She's like, isn't that going to be weird that they see you calling me before you call the police? You know, like, isn't that fucking weird? She goes, you need to call them. And, you know, she's basically coming up with this whole plan
of what they need to do now, because now the other plan hasn't worked. And meanwhile, like, Madeline is in the background, like, of the scene behind him. He can't see her, and she's just slowly getting up and creeping toward him, and it's so fucking creepy. Mm-hmm. It's so awesome, though, because her head is backwards, and she's able to, like, it looks, like, so, like, wobbly.
It's so gross.
It's so gross, and it's so cool, because then she goes in the entire scene, like, even after he notices, and they're, like, talking, because he's obviously, like, freaked out, because he's like, what the fuck? And she's like, what's happening to me?
Yes. So they rush her to the hospital, and the doctor...
I love this scene.
This whole scene is so fucking good. And he's like, okay, so, like, what's happening? And she's like, I fell down the stairs. And he's like, okay, let's take a look at you. She's got a big coat on. I know. So she's got the little thermometer, and he can feel her, like, obviously she feels cold. And he's like, so did you say you hurt your wrist? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, does it hurt when I do this? And she's like, no. And he's like, how about this? And he kind of, like, pushes it back. And she's like, no. And he goes, you're telling me it doesn't hurt when I do this? And, like, basically presses the top of her hand to, like, her arm. And she's like, no, I told you. It doesn't, I don't feel anything. And he's like, and then you said your neck. And he pulls back her coat. And there's, like, bone protrusions. And he's like, ah. He's like, oh, Jesus. And so he's like, Ernest is like, maybe she's in shock from the fall. And he gets
like, yeah, shock. We'll go with that.
Yeah. So then he gets his stethoscope to listen to, like, her heartbeat, and there's nothing, and he keeps moving it, and he's like, and, like thuds on it. Yes, he throws the other one in the garbage. He gets a bigger one. And then he's like, so what do you think, Doc? And the doctor, he's like, can I have a swig of that? Takes a swig out of, like, Ernest's little flask, takes a fucking pill. And he's like, well, your wrist is, like, completely fractured, and the bone protrusions, you have no heartbeat. Your body temperature is below 80. And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna get a second opinion. He leaves. And so Ernest is like, I think you're in violation of every natural law I know. And she's like, what did I violate? You're in violation of every natural law.
Except you're not.
Except you're not. And so he goes running out of the room.
It's amazing.
It's so good. So then that's when we see, like, Kurt Russell on the TV in the background. And then as he's, like, running around, there's, like, a whole team of doctors trying to resuscitate the doctor who's fucking had a heart attack. I think he's dead. It's so fucking great. So then he goes back to the room, And Madeline's not there. There's some doctor, and he's like, where's my wife? And she's like, I'm so sorry, sir. I'm so sorry. And he keeps like, no, where is my wife? Sir, she's dead. They took her to the morgue.
The morgue? She'll be furious.
It's so fucking good. She'll be furious.
I love when he gets to the morgue, too, and there's, like, the floating nuns that come by. It's, like, so fucking weird.
Creepy. Ugh. I always hated that as a kid, too. Like, that fucking freaked me out.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my god. So then he, like, pulls her out of the body bag thing in the little freezer. She's like, I was screaming, and nobody came to help me.
So, of course, he gives her Ernest morgue makeover when he takes her back to the house, which is hilarious, because he basically just, like, slops her body.
He's like, I'm trying to get the color right. Do you want to look crazy? What does he say? He's like, the highlight of your eyes are all off. Do you want people to look at you? But, you know what's crazy? There was a scene in the trailer that wasn't in the movie, and I'm assuming it got cut, but after the morgue scene, or, like, I guess the original scene was that they were... Rose, their, like, maid, was gonna open the freezer and find her body in there, and she supposedly goes, like, running off screaming, and then when Ernest, like, pulls her out, she says, I think I'm sweating, and he goes, no, I don't think you're sweating, you're defrosting.
I need to see the trailer again.
I know, I was so upset.
I feel like I'm missing an entirely different movie.
I know, the trailer makes the movie seem completely different than what it is.
Really?
Well, not completely, but, like, a little bit, yeah.
Does it seem goofier? Or darker?
It just seems like a different story.
Oh.
I don't know.
Weird.
You'll watch it and then let me know. But I just was like, oh, it's kind of what the movie is, but also not. It's interesting.
I too love too. I don't know why I like busted out laughing when he is like trying to do the spray painting, and obviously Helen, who's like observing this entire thing from afar, tries calling him. And he just, so she's like, who's calling? And he rips the phone out of the wall. And he's like, I can't have these interruptions.
Yes. Did you notice the bucket of blood at the foot of the bed?
Yeah.
He drained her blood because that's what he's a mortician. He's supposed to because she's
to.
dead.
Yeah,
to preserve the body.
He gets the embalming fluid from his work.
Yes. Yeah, I know. I can't have these interruptions. But then Helen shows up. And she's got shovels and she's wearing some... outfit. Yeah, some interesting outfit. And she's like, where's the body? You know, we have to bury it. And she's like saying, you know, Madeline's at the top of the stairs, like kind of listening about about their plot. And she was like, and she was a bad actress.
And
you
that
see
was
the nails
the final straw.
Yeah, so she comes strutting down the stairs, that whole like, mad hell. What are you guys planning down here? It gets crazy.
She fucking shoots her.
Through the stomach. Like, I mean, full on, like, shotgun blast. She goes flying into the water. He's like, I think she's dead. She's what? These are the moments that make life worth living. So good. Like, they're so hateful. Horrible.
And now they're, like, left to get rid of her body.
Yes.
Which, of course, he's like, but we have to get rid of the body. Someone would have heard something. The neighbors.
The neighbors. 14 years in Beverly Hills. Have you ever even seen a neighbor? So fucking true.
Oh.
So true.
But honestly, the shot of her getting up from the fountain is so fucking good because of that whole, like, you can literally see through her body and at their reaction. It's so epic.
It's amazing.
So good.
She's like, why am I all wet? Or like, I'm all wet. I'm so gay. I don't know. I just keep thinking of Shutter Island. Yeah. Like, why are you all wet, baby? Yeah, she doesn't realize anything's happened.
So then they duke it out once they realize.
Yes.
And he's just like, completely perplexed.
I like when she's like, you're a phony and a fake, and I can see right through you. I'd stay out of a swimsuit for a while, at least a two-piece.
And that's when we find out that Helen has also taken the elixir.
Yes. Yeah, because she's like...
giving her immortality.
I took it in 1985, way before you did. They start fighting. They have, like, the shovel war. I like when the silhouette of the two of them fighting from the fire, like, is on the floor.
I don't know why that reminds me of Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
For sure. Oh, yeah.
Just, when you just see them, it's almost, like, cartoonish.
Yes. And they're, like, dishing out insults to each other. And my favorite is when she says, "You're a former fatso." You're a former fatso! Yeah. So she gets hit in the head a couple times.
It's rough.
Madeline does. Her neck's all, like, fucked up again. I just, like, her head is literally, like, in her neck. Like, just, like her little eyes. Yeah. And Helen's like, "I refuse to speak to you until you put your head on straight." It's so fucking good, but they basically, like, make peace with each other at this point, you know, because one admits that she thought they were cheap, the other one admits that she was, like, stealing her men's.
Because of jealousy. So they make amends.
Yeah.
And they vow, because now they need Ernest, who has hidden himself away in a bedroom with his booze. And they need him to make sure that they, to fix them.
Right.
And all of their blemishes.
They ultimately come to a decision that they need him to drink the potion, so he can be with them forever. So they tried to drug him, and it doesn't work. He keeps sloshing the drink with, like, the poison, the drugs in it all over the place. He ends up pouring the rest of it into a plant, and, he basically is like, "Well, I mean, I married you guys, or I said till death do us part. Well, you're dead.
And I'm parting.
But then they push him down the stairs. Or no, they knock him out with a vase.
Yeah, they knock him out and they drag him back to Liesel's.
Who's having a party.
It's pretty great.
Yeah. She has one
She almost has him convinced to take it. Like, he is right there until she reminds him that he's going to live forever. And he is like, "I don't want to do that. I don't want to see everyone around me aging and dying while I'm just, like, here living." He's like, "Who am I going to talk to? Helen and Madeline."
Yeah, exactly. Who am I going to know? Which is, like, such a bizarre question. I think it shows, like, his character. Or maybe not. I don't know. But, like, for me, I'm just so... It's not even a vanity thing. Like, I don't care about aging. I just don't want to die.
Yeah.
So if someone said I could live forever, I'd be like, yes. No questions asked.
But then he says, "What if I get bored?"
I know. Which I never thought of. Because I just don't want to die.
Well, it's the choice of, like, you don't have a way out if you wanted one.
Yeah, true.
If you were immortal.
That's true.
I feel like that's an entirely, like, really long, dark conversation
I
we
know.
could have. But the last time we tried to have one of these chats, we almost blacked out.
We did.
Because not even
scary.
of, like, alcohol, of, like, just being, like... Fear-inducing anxiety.
Yes, exactly. So, he ends up not taking the potion, and he's, like, running away. And she sends Tom, Dick, and Harry after him. And he disappears into the party where Madeline and Helen now are. And you see some of their, stars, like Greta Garbo, Elvis Presley. We've named them all earlier. But they see, like, they chase Ernest basically up to the roof. And he swings out on this pipe. And they're like, "Oh, no, like, reach for us. And, like, basically saying, like, you can't leave us. And he lets go. And he comes crashing through the ceiling of the pool room, which I heard another ending, he was supposed to die there.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But he lives. Jim Morrison's in the pool, like, "Hey, man, are you gonna be done? Or are you gonna be done soon or what?" But then we, after that, kind of cut to Ernest's funeral.
It's like 37 years later.
Yes. So now, if you're keeping up with everything, I believe the year should be 2029, which is so close to where we're at now.
Ew, I don't like that.
I know, it's weird.
I like it.
Creepy. But it's Ernest's eulogy, or funeral. They're giving a eulogy.
He basically, like, after all the events took place 37 years prior, he basically, like, reinvented himself, and he spoke at, like, conferences, and
he
like,
got sober,
women's studies, and he had, like, 5 kids and a wife.
Yeah.
And they're in the
background.
They're in the back of the church, like, gawking.
Yes, they have their faces covered with the little veils, and they're talking at full volume, like, "Where's the acrylic, whatever?" And she's like, "I put it in your purse." And they're getting really loud. Everyone is staring. And so they decide to, like, get up, and leave because like this is boring. And as they're leaving, the priest, I assume, is giving the eulogy. He says, Ernest discovered the secret to eternal life, and it's here. Like they stop because they're like, oh shit, and he's like, it's here in all of his friends, and the secret to eternal youth in his children and grandchildren, and that's how he lives on. And they're like, blah, blah. Nobody fucking cares. And then the end of the movie is great because they walk out. You get to see their faces. They are rough.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah. Madeline tells Helen, she goes, oh yeah, you're all runny. You need a little bondo on the chin, babe.
I almost feel like they could have gone back to the plastic surgeon guy to help them out.
Right? He obviously knows lethal. Yeah. But maybe they don't have the money?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Oh, I guess it wasn't her money. It was Ernest's money.
Right.
So, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Either way, when they step out onto the stairs, the very spray paint can they were looking for in the church is on one of the steps, which they kind of slip over, and then they both fall down the stairs, and their body shatters into, like, little pieces.
It's crazy.
It's amazing.
They're like crazy bones.
Yeah, there's just body parts everywhere. And they're still talking.
Yeah, it's the final line of the movie.
Is Helen.
Yeah. Do you remember where you parked the car? Crazy. I don't know why the ending with the two of them, where they're like standing outside and they're kind of like, just like, oh yeah, you're all runny. It reminded me so much of like Baby Jane. Just like the two sisters.
Yeah.
Where they like hate each other and then at the end, I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But it was cute.
I love this movie.
I love this movie so much. There's too many lines to like
I know.
Cram into this podcast.
And I would hate for, I would secretly love it, but I think that everyone would hate if we had just quoted it the whole time.
I know.
But alas,
so
we're
good.
here. Let's get to ratings. Sam, what would you rate this movie?
Is it a surprise? I feel like both of us are going to give it a 5 out of 5.
Of course. It's not really a surprise.
No.
I'm sure it wasn't a surprise to you guys either listening because we just gushed about this movie for like an hour, so...
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I mean, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like I said before, it just came at like a time that was a little weird because all of these stars had these like serious roles, like fun roles, I guess, but like this was just so quirky and so out of nowhere, and I fucking love this movie. I think it's a gem, and it has amazing effects.
I agree. I have nothing more to add. I feel like we've said everything. We've gushed about this movie for an hour.
Yeah.
It's just so fucking good. It's so funny. I can't ever, like, I don't want to live in a world where this doesn't exist. This is so fucking good.
And now we might get another one.
I hope not.
So we'll end it there.
Yeah.
As always, that's just our opinion. Let us know what you think about Death Becomes Her. If you haven't seen it, even though we've basically talked about the entire movie at length, will you still see it?
You should.
We really think you should. Let us know by following us on Facebook. You can talk about it in our Fright Club, our little Facebook group, where we have a lot of conversations about movies. We have fun little memes and GIFs that we all share, and it's a good time all around. There's alcohol involved.
Yeah, it's free. If you bring
it. And then, of course, if you want to tweet at us at Fright Mic Pod, we can continue the conversation over there. Follow us on Instagram. We do have a Patreon at patreon.com/FrightMicPodcast, where we do have bonus content for just a few dollars a month. You can help support our show, help things move along for us. And then, of course, if you don't mind throwing us a 5-star review wherever you're listening, particularly Apple and Spotify, because Spotify, at least a month ago, I believe, month and a half ago, dropped this whole rating review thing
finally
out of nowhere, and so now you can finally give us stars or any of your podcasts ratings, and we would truly appreciate it if you could just take the time to do that for us. That would be awesome, just so we can reach out to more people like you, help get us up there. And we hope you join us all month long for more Comedy of Terrors. Until next time, I'm Liz.
I'm Sam.
Rest in peace.